What is up, YouTube? I'm GOAT874 here, bringing you guys week 6 of the PTL. This week we are taking on Don Fanatic, coach of the Norwich Skitty. We are going into this game with a 4-1 record, while my opponent is going into this game with a 3-2 record. To recap what happened last week for you guys, we did suffer our first L of the season, but hopefully we can bounce back this week. We did lose to a Cosmic Power trapping Gothitelle, which is a really slow, painful way to go out and lose, but hey, we're past that now, and we are here for week 6. To reiterate, we are facing off against Don Fanatic. He is actually a really good coach, so this week is going to be very scary. Every coach in the league is really good. It's just this particular one I was a little bit more scared of as opposed to other ones. But hopefully we can pull out and get a win. In regards to the matchup, our matchup is pretty average. I can win this game, he can win this game. It's very 50-50. No one has the advantage immediately. I think it's going to come down to how good my prep is and how I play. He does have a Melmetal, which is a really good Pokemon overall, and he has a few other threats as well, as we will get into right now, basically, as I'm going to go into the matchup. So my opponent, Don Fanatic, this week has a team consisting of Melmetal, Blastoise, Noivern, Gardevoir, Darmanitan, Golurk, Boltund, Roselia, Silvally Dark, and Lunatone. Now I expect him to consist of Melmetal, Blastoise, Noivern, Darmanitan, Golurk, and Roselia. He could really bring anything on his team except for Lunatone, because Lunatone's pretty bad. I could really see anything coming, especially the Silvally Dark. I didn't put that on there, but I could 100% see that coming, because that thing is pretty annoying for my team overall. And that is basically the rundown there. And then his Numons are Boltund and the Melmetal, if you want to count that as a Numon. It's the first time we're seeing it in competitive, so I guess we'll count it for now. Threats on his team, the Melmetal, except for Rotom, it is really hard to switch into this thing. Luckily, Rotom is a good switch in, but outside of that, it's kind of hard to deal with that way. I can offensively beat it pretty easily. Well, I say that lightly because I need to chip it down because it's so damn fat. But once it's chipped down a bit, I think I'll have a fun time trying to take that thing down. Darmanitan, you just don't switch into, especially if it's Banded. Banded's actually more annoying than Scarf, because Banded runs through my defensive core, while Scarf beats my offense. It doesn't really run through my defense as well, so I'm more scared of Banded than anything. He could be either, though. Silvally Dark really pivots around my team very effectively. I definitely have to watch out for that. Even though I said I don't think it might be coming originally, I could definitely still see it. But again, that pivots right around a lot. And speaking of pivoting, Noivern is really annoying for my team. I have ways to beat it, obviously. I have a lot of different ways to beat it, but it's just, it can come in and out of the battle so many times on certain Pokemon. You're going to see Noivern on your screen a lot, most likely, based on this matchup. I just feel like Noivern is just good at that. And that is a quick rundown of my opponent's team. I did pick up Vanillix 2 weeks ago, and I think it actually looks really good in this matchup overall. I do have to do a few things in order for it to win, as I will break it down when I get into Vanillix. But I think it looks really good this week. So did Cinderace, but Cinderace looks good every week. And that is my opponent's team. What I am bringing this week, it consists of Vanillix, Rotom Wash, Cinderace, Silvally Steel, Rhyperior, and Golisopod. First up on the team, as I had just mentioned, is going to be the Vanillix, making its season debut, holding the Choice Scarf with max special attack, Modest Nature, moves being Blizzard, Freeze Dry, Aurora Veil, and Explosion. This is the very most important mon of the team this week. I say that because he only has 2 switch-ins, and that is Melmetal and Blastoise. Blastoise takes 1 prediction with Freeze Dry, and it is no longer a switch-in. And if Melmetal is defensive to take on Vanillix, it is not a threat to any other member of my team, really. So I feel like Melmetal is going to have to be offensive to be a threat. In that case, Blizzard's going to be doing a decent chunk. It does like 25%. But with the Hail, it negates leftovers. He wants to hold that, and I can chip it down over time. And everything else it just completely destroys. Darmanitan takes half from Blizzard, so it's not even a switch-in. And if he is banded, I can just stay in and kill it. Obviously, initially, I'm not going to stay in with my Vanillix on a Darm, but, you know, if I find out it's banded and he's low enough, I can do that. But I am expecting Scarf, if anything. And then Vanillix just OHKOs basically almost everything on the team. This does slow down the Noivern from coming in and out of the battle, because if I get Vanillix in, he's not going to want to, like, pivot in Noivern, obviously. And again, everything just almost drops to Blizzard. And Scarf was just really good to outspeed stuff like the Silvally, the Darm if it's not Scarf, Noivern, Gardevoir, all that good stuff. And I think it was just going to be a really good pick overall. He doesn't have much recovery, so the Snow Warning chip is also kind of nice. Second up, we have Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash is holding the Rocky Helmet. It's a standard defensive set with Voltwitch, Thunderbolt, Hydro Pump, and Will-O-Wisp. It was really good overall in the matchup as it beats the Melmetal. Make sure that thing never gets out of hand. If it's Scarf Arm, I can switch in pretty easily. Banded, not so much. Golurk gets switch in for a Boltund and Blastoise. Now that Blastoise gets Shell Smash, that thing can be a little bit of a threat offensively, but with Rotom around, it's never that big of a deal. If he does bring Roselia, I'm sure I'm going to end up burning it just because usually that's how it goes. You switch in your Grass type, I click Will-O-Wisp, and I Volt out. It's usually how it goes, so if it comes, that's what I kind of expect to happen. But it's a really good pivot overall. We all know Rotom is a good pivot just to begin with, and I felt like in this matchup it was no different, and it just did really good there. It can take any one hit from, I think, anything on my opponent's team, so that's also really nice to have. And that's just a typical Rotom set. I think the helmet chip was also really nice for late game Blizzard sweep as well. Third on the team is going to be Cinderace. Cinderace is holding the boots, max attack adamant nature with 180 speed. Moves being Power Ball, U-Turn, Sucker Punch, and Court Change. Power Ball is pretty spammable in this matchup overall. This is where the Noivern is a little bit annoying because Noivern does come on in this set every single time. And since Noivern does get Roost, it's going to be a little bit annoying overall. Blastoise as well, but at least Blastoise doesn't get Recovery, so I can at least chip it that way. Court Change is for if the Roselia comes. I'm going to be coming in on that thing. If he wants to set up spikes or T-spikes on me, I can just put them back on their side of the field. U-turn for general pivoting, and I had Sucker Punch for some priority for Darm. That was it. If it came down to Darm and Cinderace, and Darm's low, I can just Sucker Punch it and it'll knock it out. And I felt like that was pretty valuable in the end. And that is just the Cinderace set. Fourth up, we have Silvally Steel. Silvally Steel is a weird mix of Spadef and Speed. Moves being a Parting Shot, Multi-Attack, Ice Beam, and Grass Pledge. Steel typing was actually pretty good offensively overall in this matchup. This set does not touch Melmetal whatsoever. However, I don't really expect him to be switching in Melmetal right away on Silvally because I could easily just run Flamethrower and that would do a lot, but the set doesn't have it. Grass Pledge for the Blastoise. This is my switch into the Noivern and the Gardevoir if it wants to come in. Luckily, I am faster than Gardevoir, so I can take any one hit and then hit it either with a hard multi-attack or parting out, depending on the situation. I feel like that was really valuable. And then multi-attack just does so much to like Roselia as well, which is also another thing I'm switching in on consistently. Since Roselia has really trash defense, even with Eviolite, it's pretty bad. So multi-attack is going to be pretty nice there. And that is basically the Silvally set. Fifth up, we have Big Clyde. Big Clyde the Rhyperior is 196 attack with an adamant nature, so it's got some pretty high offenses to it. Moves a decent amount of bulk, and it's holding the Assault Vest. Moves being Earthquake, Stone Edge, Ice Punch, and Hammer Arm. I did want rocks on this, I really did, but I feel like the AV was good because Noivern's going to be a little bit of a problem, and having it as a switch-in was really nice. This also is a secondary check to stuff like Boltund and the Darmanitan, just because Rotom I don't want to get too overwhelmed in this game, so I feel like Rhyperior would be good in that sense. It takes any hit from Gardevoir that's not Energy Ball, and I think it even does take an Energy Ball if it's Scarf, so that's really cool. And Earthquake and Stone Edge was really all I needed. Ice Punch and Hammer Arm are just like neutral plays for certain scenarios I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's why those two moves were there. If I could run rocks, I would, but hey, you can't do everything. And finally, this outspeeds Melmetal for the most part, so Earthquake's going to be doing a lot to that thing as well. And then finally, we have Agent Pod, Gliscopod. This is max attack adamant nature with a little bit of bulk and speed. Holding the Insect Plate, moves being a First Impression, a Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and Spikes. Spike stacking was really good against my opponent overall. If he does not bring the Roselia, then I can just Spike stack with Pod. If he does, then I could probably just Court Change and not have to do that. Priority would be good for like Darm and, I don't know, Lunatone or something like that, while First Impression was good for other mons as well. And I threw on Close Combat because it was better than Liquidation in the sense that I can hit Melmetal for some super hard damage in the end, while First Impression still doing enough damage to stuff like Guard, so I don't need a strong other Bug or Water type move in the end. And I was really going to have either Linoon or Pod in this slot overall. The GOAT Crusaders themselves decided to influence me to go Gliscopod in the end just because Linoon had a bit of a hard time setting up. If Linoon was set up at +6, Linoon just sweeps this entire team, but setting up was a little bit too hard, so Pod's priority was really nice, and plus the Spike stacking was also a good option there in the end. And I wanted the Insect Plate just for a little bit of damage. But that is going to be the 6 I'm bringing, and that is going to be the team this week. I'm really excited to use Vanillix. I used that once before in the BFO Surge. That is not on YouTube, so technically this is Vanillix also YouTube debut, even though I have used it before in draft. And I enjoyed using it a lot, and I hope I enjoy using it again. And I hope this team puts in a lot of work. Without further ado, we're going to head over to Pokemon Showdown, and we're going to watch the battle. Alright, we are here on Pokemon Showdown, and he did not bring the Silvally Dark, but he did bring the Gardevoir, and everything else I sort of expected, so that's pretty good. In regards to the lead, I am going to lead off with Silvally Steel because unless he leads with the Darmanitan, I can either parting shot out or do some massive damage to something. So that is sort of the game plan here, as I do lead off with Silvally, and unfortunately he leads with the Darmanitan, so I cannot get leads right to save my life. But I'm going to go to Rotom. I'm going to find out if this is Scarf or Banded, and that is Scarf damage, so I'm going to keep that in mind for a little bit later, as he takes a little bit of chip and goes out to Roselia. These things usually don't run speed, so I'm just going to Volt Switch out as I am faster than it. I get a crit, it doesn't really matter. And now I can go out into Vanillix. I'm going to play a little bit offensive early, as I expect them to just go for a spike as they do. And now I get to fire off a free Blizzard and find out some more sets like the Blastoise or the Melmetal set and see who the switch-in is. It is going to be the Melmetal as it comes out, and I do fire off a Blizzard. I do 27% and I freeze it. I'm so sorry. That is such a big freeze so early on in the game. This thing does have some bulk to it because, I mean, it's a Melmetal. Why would you run so much speed? So it's kind of a standard, probably max HP, max attack set or something like that. But that is such a big freeze because he stays frozen and can't get any crucial damage on this Rotom. So I apologize for that. It sucks the first Blizzard I click is a freeze. But anyway, I'm going to Thunderbolt here. I don't really want to pivot out into anything just in case he stays in. So that's why I did that. And if Roselia comes out, I can just Volt Switch on the following turn, which I am going to do here, and just chip down this Roselia more and more. I'm going to go out into Cinderace this time just to switch up my switch a bit as he goes for Giga Drain, so that's a pretty good, it's pretty good that I switch out to Cinderace there. I can fire off a Powerball if I want, but I'm actually going to Court Change now. I do want to get a Spike on their side of the field to find out if that Noivern is Defog or the Blastoise is Spin. As they throw up another Spike, I could have definitely killed that thing there, but I didn't, as I go for Powerball this turn. And this is looking like a pretty bulky Blastoise, but at the same time, it is a Blastoise. It is just naturally thick. I'm going to go on a Rotom just to see what this wants to do as he Rapid Spins, as I do get some nice hot helmet damage, and he gets rid of the Spike there. And he has leftovers, so I'm starting to think this thing's a little more bulkier, and then he shows Protect, so I'm really thinking this thing is bulky Blastoise at this point. The good thing with this scenario is that his Vanillix switch-ins are Blastoise and Melmetal, and Melmetal is unfortunately frozen, and Blastoise is a little bit chipped now, so his Vanillix switch-ins are getting less and less. As I can go out into Pod on the Volt Switch on the Gardevoir, I can just fire for First Impression. Only Noivern or Melmetal can really appreciate this hit, as Melmetal is going to be the switch-in and take a little bit more chip damage, which is pretty nice. I did say in the Team Builder I am packing the Close Combat, and I feel like I need the damage on this thing, as I do go for it, and I do 45% to it, so that's a really good chunk. But the important part is that it is now chipped for the Vanillix, and that is just really, really nice. Anyway, what's going to sell? I do set up a Spike as he does unthaw and kill me with Thunder Punch. I do get a little bit greedy with that play, but I do feel like the Spike is nice for that. It does suck that knowing that Darmanitan is Scarf, I do not have the priority to beat that, so I definitely have to keep either Rotom or Rhyperior healthy. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. But anyway, he does not have Earthquake switching with the Spike up, so the Melmetal is going to drop, and I do get rid of it, which is pretty nice. That is a Vanillix switching down, as well as Silvally has a little bit more leeway now. I'm going to go out on the Vanillix here, just be aggressive again. I can take any one hit from this thing anyway, as he goes for the Synthesis, and that was really good for me because he gets less health, and I get to fire off an Ice-type attack. I decide this time I'm going to go for Freeze Dry. I assume it either 2-coast stuff or it kills the Blastoise, as unfortunately this Gardevoir is packing enough bulk to actually take 2 Freeze Dries. I was really shocked about that. So it kind of sucks because now I have to switch out into Silvally, and because we're both like a nice in the Steel type, you can just click the Fighting move, which he does click. I do live it. He does have a lot of bulk. He does a bit F job. It doesn't really matter. It's a little annoying, but it doesn't matter. As now I can fire off a multi-attack. Either the Darm or Blastoise can take this, but Blastoise it's chip and Darm it's chip, as the Blastoise comes out and takes the multi-attack. And this thing is getting weakened. I can save this thing, as I always have a free switch in the Rotom knowing this thing's bulky, so I'm just going to Parting Shot out, just in case I do end up getting the Spike off my side of the field, as I'm going to go in Rotom as he spins again. So this Blastoise is getting really, really low. It's in Blizzard range now, which is really nice to know as well, so I can just click that move from now on. And I can just click Volt Switch as well, because it kills the Blastoise, and I gain momentum on anything that wants to come in, as the Blastoise protects just, to get a little bit of leftovers recovery back. As this turn, he's faster because he got the Rapid Spin boost, but I can just Volt Switch and knock out this Blastoise. So 22 turns in, it is 5-4 right now, and we look like we're in a pretty good position overall. I go out into Cinderace here just to bait out the Noivern or the Darm as the Noivern comes in and frisks my boots, which isn't a big deal. I can now just sack the Silvally because it's not really doing too much anymore, as this Noivern goes for a Hurricane. And now I can bring out Vanillix and just click Blizzard. I don't think this thing's going to be Scarf. I think that'd be kind of weird, especially in this matchup. So I'm just going to click Blizzard and something dies, as Gardevoir is going to come in and just straight up drop to this Blizzard. Darm could have took one, but Darm would have took a lot of damage, and I still have some good switch-ins to that thing. As now the Darmanitan comes out, and I can just go out into the Rotom. Rotom's only really good against the Darm at this point, and I am starting to get a little bit low, as Rocky Helmet Chip is going to start adding up on this Darm as he goes into the Roselia. I'm faster than this thing, so I can just Volt Switch out and keep my Rotom to switch in one more time on Darm, as that is exactly what I'm going to do. Vanillix is way more important than Cinderace, so I'm actually going to go on to Cinderace and take whatever move this thing wants to go for as he goes for the Sludge Bomb. He does poison me, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's not the worst case in the entire world. As now, instead of going for the Power Ball and knocking this thing out, I'm actually going to Court Change, as this was really good because this gets up a spike on my opponent's side of the field, which is going to chip down Darm even more. And I felt like the Power Ball damage wasn't that really useful against the Noivern, considering I can just Blizzard it whenever I get Vanillix in. And you're going to see here this following turn, I'm going to actually click Sucker Punch and get the chip anyway, so it didn't really matter. I felt like I made the correct play there, as I get a Spike up and my Cinderace dies, so I can get a free switch in on with Vanillix. And now Darm can definitely not switch it now, because with Spike, Hail, and Blizzard, I don't think it even takes the hit. Something is going to die here, and the Noivern is going to drop. And it's looking really good right now. Noivern's down, and he only has the Darm and the Roselia left. And those two aren't... Roselia is kind of a threat because only Vanillix beats it at this point, but as long as I keep Vanillix around, it's not that scary. As I go out to Rotom to actually sack it to the U-turn, which is really good because that lets me get a free switch, as he has to go out into the Roselia at this point. And this gives me the Vanillix for free, and I can just click Blizzard. If I actually lived there, that would have been really bad because I would have had to have had Rotom in on Roselia, and that would have been a bad scenario. But I do go down, and I just knock out this Roselia, and this Darmanitan would have to crit through my Vanillix and my Rhyperior with like Earthquake or something like that, or Superpower if he has that. But he shows the Earthquake, he does not get a crit, and I am going to win this game 2-0 against Don Fanatic. I want to say it was a clean game, but I did freeze his Momental really early, which did make a difference. So I do apologize to the Don Fanatic about that. But anyway, GG's to my opponent. I definitely had a solid game plan going into this, and I felt like I stuck to it pretty well. I made some really good plays to make sure I could stick to it in the end. It just happens that hacks made it a lot easier for me to stick to it because I froze his Melpendle. Again, I'm sorry, Don Fanatic. It really sucks. I hate when portions of the game happen and it comes into play like freezes or just extra hacks. It does happen, but it's just so unfortunate. So I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say about it. But one more time, GG to my opponent, Don Fanatic. We are going to move up to a 5-1 record and +7 differential, which isn't really even that good, +7, considering I'm 5-1. But hey, we take the wins how we can get them. The GOAT Crusaders are now 24-6 in the Sword division. And that is just insane. I say that like every week, but it's just like we keep getting better and better. We haven't gone even close to a losing record in a week, and it's just insane how good our team is. And I knew we would be, but it's just 24-6 compared to like the next team, which is 13 and like 17 or something like that. It's just an insane gap difference, and I'm really happy with how our team has been playing. But anyway, that is going to basically wrap it up for the video. Next week we are taking on Bloodcrawler, and he has a lot of new Galarmons on his team, like a lot of them, as I just prepped for it like 5 minutes ago, before I started recording this, I was preparing for that battle. But that's going to be next week's video. By the way, Don Fanatic was a part of the Rainbow Unicorns. I didn't even mention that throughout the video, but that was the team he was on. But anyway, thank you guys for watching so much. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm gonna head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.